Hi, I'm Ritas, and today we're going to be taking a look at my 1966 Ford Custom. Now, when I first bought this car, it actually did have a nice radio, but it wasn't really hooked up properly, so that's what we're going to play with today. Basically, the wiring on the radio isn't done correctly. It's kind of hooked up to just key power, which means that when I turn the car off, it forgets all my presets, all my radio stations. I have to set up the bass, the treble, I have to set up all the equalizer again. So I don't like that. Obviously, I'm a really big fan of music. If you don't know, I do all the music for the show, so it's kind of annoying to have to do that every time I turn the car on. So today, we're going to wire it properly. I'm going to take the wiring out from the parts that are wrong, and I'm going to hook it up to the correct parts. Now, according to some forums I've read about Ford Mustangs and stuff, which have pretty close to the same wiring, there is a yellow wire and there's a red wire coming off the stereo. And the yellow wire has to go to constant power, which will be something like the cigarette lighter, which we're going to be using today. And then the red wire needs to go to something that obviously switches the power on so that it doesn't drain the battery and stay on all the time. And we're going to use the key for that, I think. So as soon as I turn the key on, then we'll have radio, like it does now. But once we hook that yellow wire up to the cigarette lighter, it'll actually remember all my presets and I won't have to set everything up every time. So let's get started. So as we can see down here, there's our yellow wire, and then there is our red wire. And the yellow wire has to go to constant power to something like the cigarette lighter, and the red wire is going to be going to our ignition. And you can see that they've been spliced here. And when I got it, it was hooked up all the way over here to the fuse box. And that works, and the radio does work, and we can listen to music, but it's not proper. So what we're going to do is take those out, just like that, and we're going to trace them all the way back to here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our yellow wire. Oh, it's even got a zip tie back there, so somebody really wanted to put it over there, but it's not right. So we're going to have to take it apart. I just blew the cigarette lighter fuse because it touched ground as well as the 12 volts, so it didn't have the resistance of the actual cigarette lighter to not break it. So I've got to replace that fuse, but I think I'm on the right track. Okay, so it doesn't look any better. Everything in here looks like a disaster, but it actually works. So what I've got is I've just got the yellow wire, which has been spliced into a red wire, hooked up to what used to be the cigarette lighter. And that's the 12 volt that goes into there, and that goes into the back of the radio. This wire, which would be the red wire coming from the back of the radio, goes all the way over here, just as a practice right now, and it goes into the fuse box. So you can see that when I turn it on, hard to do with one hand. So you can see it does turn on and it does work. Now, the thing is that before, it wouldn't remember my radio station. So, see, right now it's on 97.3, so let's put it on, let's put it on 107.1. So now I should be able to turn it off and turn it back on, and it should remember that. It's still hard to do with one hand. I should have left this in the dashboard. I took it out so I could splice my wire to it, but I might not even need to anymore because I think I'll just make it go over there to the fuse box. It's easier. So that's off. And now, so there we go. It remembered 107.1. So this wiring setup works. All I have to do now is actually make it pretty. So put everything behind the dashboard so you can't see anything, and then we'll be on our way to having trouble-free radio. Let's go for it. Oh, did that just come out? Ah! Okay, now that I've actually got all that installed properly and the wire didn't fall out this time, it should work. I've still got to wire up the rest of it. It's still all sitting all over the floor here, but as you can see, it's dark out, so I'm kind of doing this in the dark, kind of hoser-ishly, but I have to do this before tomorrow morning because then I'm going to be driving it all the way out to cottage country this weekend, so I've got to get this done. Looks nice. Should work. What I thought was going to take like half an hour or an hour took more than that. And now it's like 8 o'clock, and I love fall, but this sucks that it's really dark now at like 8 o'clock at night. So I think I'm going to have to pick this up tomorrow morning because I can't see a damn thing. So let's pick it up tomorrow morning. So I'm back out here again, and what seemed like an impossible feat yesterday is actually really easy. I found that I can get accessory power from the back of the ignition switch from one really easy to reach part, so I could do it without taking the ignition out. And since the other part was hooked up to the cigarette lighter, it works perfectly. So now it remembers all of my memory, all of my radio stations. When I turn it on and off, it remembers my my EQ and everything. So it's perfect and everything works great. So tune in next week for another Reedus and Cletus Weekly.